Hello, and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got some information coming out from Poland that I want to share with you. So, I talked a little bit about this topic recently here in the last few days, but we did a whole report that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had visited Warsaw, Poland to meet with the Prime Minister Donald Tusk, and they signed a major military agreement with Poland. And while they were there, while Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was there, he discussed with Donald Tusk the potential of shooting down Russian missiles inside of Ukrainian airspace, not Polish airspace, but inside of Ukrainian airspace that are heading in the direction for Poland. Now, these missiles don't necessarily have to be destined for Poland. Maybe they could be destined for, like, Lviv, let's say, for example, on the western side of Ukraine, that Poland would help Ukraine shoot down these missiles. Now, we talked a little bit about that a few days ago, and then we heard some pushback coming from the United States. I'm going to show you guys a video here in just a minute from the national security spokesman from the Biden administration, John Kirby, talking in an interview and basically stating that he's not for, or the United States at least, or the Biden administration is not for Poland shooting down these missiles coming into Polish airspace that haven't actually reached their airspace yet. They're still in Ukrainian territory. That the Biden administration is not for it at all because they're afraid of escalation. Now we've got Radoslaw Sikorski here. He is the foreign minister of Poland. Okay, he's coming out and saying that Warsaw is actually considering this. Okay, they are actually in the works right now talking about this. He said that at this stage, this is an idea. What our agreement said is we will explore this idea. Okay, so they are open to the idea of shooting down Russian missiles in Ukrainian airspace. And this is absolutely huge news. If this actually begins, this would basically mean that Poland is actually involved in this war now. Now, I understand they're just shooting down missiles inside of Ukrainian airspace, but if these air defense missiles come from Polish airspace and not from Ukrainian lands, then that means that Poland is actively going to be involved in this war. Now, this is absolutely huge, and we continue to see this, okay? NATO is increasingly getting more involved in this war every single day. For the most part, all they've really done is just give weaponry to Ukraine. Okay. Then there's been lots of reports coming from Russia saying that, well, Storm Shadow missiles are being fired by British troops on the ground. ATACMS missiles are being fired by U.S. troops that are on the ground, and who knows? Maybe that is the thing. But we know that Russia is very skeptical about the West and their involvement in this war, and comes out repeatedly stating that the U.S. is involved in this, NATO's directly involved. So I'm going to talk more about Poland here today. We'll talk about these Russian missiles that could potentially be shot down over Ukrainian territory by the Poles. And then also, I'm going to show you some other updates, talk about their border a little bit, and what they plan to do, and also showing you the fact that Poland is actually preparing for war right now with Russia. So this is on BBC. Poland considers downing Russian missiles over Ukraine. So this actually came out yesterday. It says Polish Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski has said Warsaw is considering a proposal from Kiev to shoot down Russian missiles heading towards Polish territory while they are still in Ukrainian airspace. The proposal was included in a joint defense agreement between the two countries signed during President Volodymyr Zelensky's visit to Warsaw earlier this week. At this stage, this is an idea. What our agreement said is we will explore this idea, Mr. Sikorski told the American Enterprise Institute in Washington. He said some Russian missiles fired from St. Petersburg area towards Ukrainian targets near the western city of Lviv, not far from the Polish border, traversed Belarus and entered Polish airspace for about 40 seconds before turning towards their targets in Ukraine. So that's another big reason why Poland wants to get involved here, is they've actually had their airspace violated from Russian missiles before. I believe also Ukrainian missiles have accidentally entered their airspace too. There was a time where there was supposedly a Ukrainian air defense missile that was trying to shoot down either like a Russian missile that entered their territory or something. This Ukrainian air defense missile, landed inside of Poland in like a very remote area of Poland on a farm, and I believe it killed like like two people from a family or something like that. I remember hearing about that it's like more than a year ago, actually, maybe almost 2 years ago, towards the beginning of this war when it started to break out. And Poland by now is probably sick of this. Okay, they've already been attacked technically from this war by this Ukrainian missile that landed in their territory, and then also they've had Russian missiles enter their airspace briefly before turning back around and heading towards Ukraine. So it says here, Mr. Sikorsky acknowledged that such a short time gave Poland little time to react. However, the proposal would theoretically cover any missile traversing western Ukraine in the direction of Poland. We are a frontline state, and the Russian missiles breach our airspace, we assume by mistake, Mr. Sikorsky said. Our dilemma is the following. If we shoot them down only when they enter our airspace, the debris is a threat to our citizens and to our property. Ukrainians are saying, please, we will not mind, do it over our airspace when they're in imminent danger of crossing into Polish territory. To my mind, that's self-defense, but we are exploring the idea, Mr. Sikorsky said. Mr. Sikorsky said an unarmed Russian missile landed near his home in, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, Bydgoszcz, about 500 kilometers or 311 miles from the Belarusian border without harming anyone in December 2022. 2 Polish citizens have been killed by falling debris when Ukraine shot down a Russian missile near a Polish border on the month earlier. That's the event that I was just talking about a moment ago. Earlier this week, Polish Defense Minister Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz said Warsaw would consult with its NATO allies and seek their arrangement before attempting to shoot down any Russian missiles. If there would be such a decision, it can only be an allied decision. It will never be an individual decision, Mr. Kosiniak-Kamysz told Poland's TVN broadcaster at a NATO summit in Washington, D.C. The key opinion is the United States, who is quite skeptical in this matter, so Poland will certainly not make such a decision on its own, he added. Marek Swersiński, I don't know if I'm saying that right either, a defense analyst for Polityka Insight, told the BBC the idea could prove perilous for Poland. Without robust allied support, which there isn't, this proposal is very risky, he said. From the point of view of our air defense assets and the fact we might be subject to some kind of Russian response. So that's obviously something they're worried about. If they start targeting these Russian missiles inside of Ukrainian airspace and not their own airspace, Russia could say, well, now Poland is actively involved in this war, and Poland can become a target now that they're helping Ukraine, okay? And that's the big problem here. That's the reason why the United States and NATO allies are very worried about this if Poland decides to start doing this. But I will say they are considering it right now. And will they actually do it? We'll have to see if they do. But now I'm going to switch gears and show you a few things here on X. So I'm going to get you some other information just regarding Poland, give you some updates on how they're dealing with this war, how they're also preparing to go to war with Russia right now, considering that, as Radoslaw Sikorsky said, they are a frontline nation. Okay, so if a war breaks out, they will be the front line where the war is mostly happening at least in their area. They will be on the front line here. So let me show you some other information from UATV English. And this is from John Kirby here, okay? So we don't want to see this war escalate, Kirby, on Poland's idea for shooting down Russian missiles over Ukraine. Still, the White House National Security spokesman assured he would see to it that Poland itself evaluates its defense capabilities and that everything further depends on the circumstances. So John Kirby's going to discuss here how he feels that, Poland, should they be shooting down these missiles inside of Ukraine, that they need to watch out for escalation, things like that Russia could escalate this war, say that NATO is now involved, or at least Poland is involved. And obviously, the United States doesn't really want that right now. They're trying to avoid escalation, which is also why they're not giving Ukraine permission to use ATACMS to strike inside of Russian territory. So let me show you this video real quick, just 1 minute, and then we'll talk about it after.
Nobody wants to see this war escalate. And so we as we always have, we want to look for ways to make sure that Ukraine can be successful, but we don't want to see this war escalate, because that wouldn't be good for not only the Ukrainian people, it wouldn't be good for the Polish people, it wouldn't be good for anybody. But obviously, look, nations certainly have expressed and have a right to express concerns over potential spillover here. I'll let the Polish government speak to its self-defense needs and its self-defense policies, but we don't want to see this war escalate. We don't want to see this become what Mr. Putin has claimed from the beginning that it has been this attack by NATO, or the West versus Russia, or the United States versus Russia.
Would such actions be escalatory on the...
I think it would depend on the circumstances. And, I mean, there has been, for instance, as you know, stray missiles that have gone into Polish airspace. And that's certainly of concern. Not all of those missiles have been Russian. So, I mean, we'd have to look at the circumstances in particular.
Okay, so as we can see here from John Kirby, this actually came out a few days ago. I think it was on the 10th that this came out. This was right after we heard that information of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visiting Warsaw and Poland, meeting with Donald Tusk, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video. This was a response to that soon after, okay? So obviously, as we can see there, they're very concerned about Poland shooting these missiles down over Ukrainian territory, because this could give Vladimir Putin the opportunity to say, well, now NATO is involved shooting down these missiles. They're involved in the war. And there we go. Then we've got World War III. And I think that's what the United States is trying to prevent happening here. But at the end of the day, what this is doing is it's only giving Ukraine the right to defend themselves. And that's it. Okay, they cannot do much more than defend themselves. They cannot even take the fight to Russia, because the weapons that they're being given are from the United States, from Western partners and NATO. So if NATO says you can't use these to strike inside of Russian territory, well, Ukraine can't bring the fight to Russia, okay? And if that's what is needed for Ukraine to push back and prevent Russia from attacking their nation ever again, well, then, all Ukraine can really do is just sit back and take the blows and try to defend themselves as much as they can. And that's a big problem for Ukraine. So Ukraine's trying to push for that right now, to have the ability to strike back against Russia. Next, I want to show you this from Vicegrad24. Breaking: Poland announces it will increase its military spending from 4.2% to 5% in 2025. Poland is in the process of building Europe's largest land army. Okay, so we continue to see this with Poland. They continuously keep increasing their military spending, okay? They're at 4.2% right now. They're going to be going up to 5%, okay? That's absolutely massive for a country that's not even at war right now. That's a very, very large percentage of military spending, okay? When NATO has a target of around 2%, many NATO nations are not even meeting that target of 2%. They are trying to get more of their nations to meet that goal. But for many nations, they have very small economies and they can only afford so much. So Poland is really going hard here, okay? They're really working on building up their army. They even stated they want to build their forces up all the way to around 300,000 active troops. I think right now they're somewhere around 190,000, which is still a pretty massive force. So Poland is preparing for war, according to the information we are seeing, okay? So take a look at this as well. We're going to talk about their border a little bit as well, the issue they're having with all these migrants coming into their country. So it says here, Vicegrad24, breaking: Poland announces it will increase the number of soldiers on the border with Belarus to 17,000. Okay, so Belarus is sending tons of Middle Eastern, African migrants from all over the world, really, through their country and trying to push them into Poland. Poland has been setting up razor wire fences all over their border, stacking up their troops. They had somewhere around, I want to say, 5,000 or 6,000 troops, something like that on the border, and then they bumped that up all the way to like 8,000, and then they've also got another 7,000 or 8,000, as far as I know, reserves as well that are ready to be deployed to the border at a moment's notice. So they've technically got somewhere around, closest number, 17,000 troops ready to go to be deployed to their border if anything ever goes down or happens. But this is a big problem for them right now. Poland, has been attacked by these migrants that are trying to flow into their country through Belarus, and Poland is accusing Belarus of committing some type of hybrid warfare on their country and trying to flood their country with migrants. Okay, so this is a huge problem for them right now. We've also had a report not too long ago, maybe a month or two ago, of a Polish soldier that was actually killed, as far as I know, from a migrant that had a spear. And I think he threw the spear and struck one of the Polish service members here, and he unfortunately died to his injuries, from what I heard. So I'm going to show you one last thing here. This is video footage from the border recently, okay? This was just coming out today, actually. This is from Wall Street Apes. Poland defending their Belarus border after Poland's parliament overwhelmingly votes in favor of a new law that allows soldiers, border guards, and police officers to use deadly force. So Poland is absolutely fed up with this. Okay, they've already had, like I said, a troop member that was killed in an attack from these migrants. So obviously, at least some of them are obviously very aggressive, okay, and mean to do harm to some of these troops as well. So yeah, Poland's parliament apparently overwhelmingly votes in favor of this new law that will allow their soldiers, border guards, and police officers to use deadly force. So this video footage is going to be showing the Polish troops firing their guns to make these migrants go away. So it says here, shouting and gunfire as men rush to defend their border. And it says here, we need this in America right now, and I completely agree with that. But I don't think we should be using deadly force, but, you know, to all means necessary to defend your border. I think, especially considering with Poland that they had a troop member that was killed, and they've been attacked many times, that I think that this is something that they feel like they need to do. So let's take a look.
Wypierdalać! Wypierdalać, kurwa! Wypierdalać!
So as we can see in the footage here, the Polish troops firing live rounds, most likely just to deter these people from coming in. I wouldn't think they would actually fire on these people unless they posed a threat to Polish soldiers. But again, they are being given to fire live rounds now to defend their border. So again, they're absolutely fed up with this mess over here with these migrants coming in or attempting to come into their country. And this has been an ongoing problem for quite a while now, for months now, from what I understand. So just wanted to give you some updates here, what's going on with Poland. And also wanted to talk a little bit about this today with the foreign minister here, Radoslaw Sikorski, saying that they may be considering shooting down Russian missiles over Ukrainian territory. So lots of huge updates coming out from Poland recently. And Poland is definitely beginning to become more involved in this war with Ukraine. And they're obviously a huge supporter of Ukraine as well, okay? They're also used as well as for a gateway for all the weaponry that flows from the West into Ukraine. It comes through Poland. So Poland is definitely a major supporter of Ukraine. And as we can see here, they're sick of this problem with the migrants coming through their border as well. So that's going to be it for this update. Just wanted to share some of these details with you. I hope you got something out of this. If you did, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, I hope y'all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.